I have this allergy to AI. I'm sorry that I do. You know, every time that someone says, I used AI to do this, I go, and what about your human ingenuity? What about your brain? Anyway, it doesn't matter. This isn't about me. What this is about is iHeartRadio last week said, you know what? We are going to introduce this new program. It's called the Guaranteed Human Program. That's where we've come to. That is, this gigantic radio company has said everything we do, the podcasts that we put out, you know, the voice that we put out, the music that we play is going to be guaranteed human. And that's interesting. But what's actually more interesting, and you're going to hear from Michelle Santosuosso about this in just a moment, is she said this is happening because of research that says people actually want that. People actually want to be guaranteed that the thing that they're listening to has come from humans. The thing that they're actually engaging with has been made by humans. That's a new and interesting turning point to me, the idea that we do actually have some power in this. So I want you to hear this conversation, and I want you to think about, you know, the next time that you're willing to express your discomfort with AI, it kind of matters, actually. So here's that conversation. Michelle Santosuosso is here to dig into all of this. Michelle, welcome back to the show.
How you doing?
I'm well. Listen, let's get into this. First things first, what else should we know about this pledge from iHeart to, quote, to only provide guaranteed humans?
It's really centered around the voice. They're guaranteeing human on hosting on air and also human vocals on music, which is really critical. And in the original memo from iHeart, they cited in their own memo that their research shows 70% of people do engage with AI, but over 90% did not want AI in terms of on the air and replacing personality. It's very strong from the audience.
Are there any loopholes or gray areas in the way that they sort of phrase this at all? Or are they you know what, you read this commitment and go, they seem to be kind of about this?
I think they are a corporation that is correctly reading their audience because this research is pretty overwhelming. But I do think that they're not going to extend this, for instance, to their advertisers. So we might hear commercials on these stations that are voiced by AI, but as long they're preserving the guaranteed human for their hosts and for the music, which is good.
No, I mean, it's a significant promise. It's also a promise that I didn't think that we would need to make, but also the idea that a company I mean, talk about the reaction that you're having there. The idea we've come to a place where a company needs to come up front and say, we promise when you hear a voice on this network, it's going to be a real person talking. It's not AI. How do you react to that?
I just think that it's the audience demanding. These are corporations, right? They're public companies whose fiduciary responsibilities to their shareholders. So AI presents an opportunity to cut people from the workforce. And I think that this is culturally happening in many industries. But I think iHeart should be commended for at least putting a flag in the ground and saying, look, we understand radio is a companionship medium, that you rely on the real voices. We're listening to you, what you're telling us in the research. Yeah. So we're going to set this standard. I think it's positive.
It's an interesting standard to set. I want to go back to that number that you cited, because in their research, they said, 70% of consumers say that they use AI as a tool, but 90% want their media to be from real humans. How do you think the music industry, and I mean, that includes streaming platforms like Spotify or like Apple, how do you think they should be interpreting those sentiments, this idea that's what people actually want?
I think that what iHeart has done here is set an important precedent to disincentivize record companies for leaning into AI music, because we've already seen this with Zania Monet, and then recently with the I Run song that had stole the voice from Georgia Smith. And so by them insisting, they own 870 radio stations nationally. So them insisting that we would like to prioritize real voices, that puts a check a little bit on the labels getting behind these artificial compositions, which is going to be a massive problem for the music industry as time goes on.
Well, I was going to say, Michelle, listen, I'm a country music guy, and there was this big story in the country music industry not that long ago. I think it was maybe 2 months ago, about this song that was AI that went to the top of one of the sort of lower charts. It wasn't the big country chart, but it was one of the sort of songs bubbling under charts, and it went right to the top of it. And then it was kind of discovered to be an all AI thing, and it kind of created this large crisis, shall we say, in the world of country, because country relies so much on radio and
on musicianship too.
100%, exactly right. Like that industry is like really catered to that, and it's sort of like
Yes.
that radio is really important to country music. So suddenly, having a gigantic company like iHeart go, no, we are not going to play any songs that are AI. It does kind of change the calculus for people who are like, thinking, you know what, I can just make an AI program that will just go straight to the top. Suddenly, iHeartRadio is saying, I'm not okay with that. Do you think record companies will take that seriously? Do you think they'll go, you know what, we should respond seriously to this because that's a big radio station telling us that's a no-go zone?
I think so, because iHeartRadio is a main apparatus, amplification apparatus for the music industry. So if they are saying we're not going to amplify these artificial things that you are putting out there, or that you're going to embrace once they blow up, like I said, that disincentivizes the labels from really putting their might behind those type of artists.
Yeah. So I got to say, this year we also saw Timbaland face a lot of backlash for his relatively, I think, troubling embrace of AI that's been maybe further than a lot of other artists are willing to go. We've also seen Grammy President Harvey Mason be pretty open and acknowledging, they're still trying to sort of figure out where to draw the line with AI. But in the meantime, as you get more and more AI artists, just making, they make playlists. If they don't make Billboard charts, they certainly make playlists. Do you think the stance that iHeart's making is basically a reflection of where the sentiment is at the moment, or do you think it's actually kind of maybe sustainable long term? Will they be able to keep on to this for a while?
I think it's up to the audience, because if the audience says we're not going to tolerate this, they will respond because their job is, to appeal to them. And so far, the backlash is overwhelming. I'm actually very heartened to see how furious the backlash is in all
to
formats.
AI, you mean?
Yes, the people are not down at all.
When you say the backlash, what do you mean?
Meaning, people saying, "Oh, that's AI now. I don't want to hear that." I mean, I think there's a discernment issue where a lot of times we can't tell the differences, but once audiences find out that things are AI, they tend to fall apart, which I'm sure happened with the country thing you talked about as well.
Oh yeah, it was immediate. Like people saying, like, no, I don't, because people don't want to be tricked like that. Like I think that's where it comes down to, is you feel a little bit taken advantage of. Like, well, that's not the thing that I signed up for here. Well, let me ask you this before I let you go: do you think a pledge like this idea of a guaranteed human program, do you think that pledge will catch on with other companies who are sort of trying to figure out, oh, what should we do about how much we use AI? Do you think that's something that's going to maybe catch industry wide?
I hope so. We have Odyssey here, who owns 200 radio stations in America nationally, and we have Cumulus, who's the third biggest broadcaster, or second biggest, and they own 400. We have not heard from them yet about what their stance is going to be, but I think the leadership iHeart has shown is putting pressure on them to address the same concerns with their audiences. So we'll have to wait and see.
Obviously, we're going to continue to watch the story as it goes, even though, Michelle, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to. I'm so exhausted by watching AI, but obviously you have to keep doing it because that's where the industry's headed. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here, friend.
Thanks.
Yes, of course. Michelle Santosuosso is a veteran music industry insider. She's also a professor at Syracuse University. Her book, Radio Phoenix, is out now. In the meantime, that is it for the show today. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. You can find us on Instagram, by the way. We are at Commotion CBC. In the meantime, if you're going to be around this time tomorrow, I'm going to be here, and I would love to see you then. Have a great day.